Some things are meant to be. A force of nature meets a city yearning for a miracle. A rebellious genius finds his spiritual home. This is the story of Diego Maradona and Napoli, a relationship that defied logic, shattered expectations, and etched itself into the very soul of the city. It was a love affair that had everything: unbridled joy, fierce devotion, unwavering trust, and agonizing heartbreak. But above all, it was a story built on an unconditional bond that, even almost after 40 years, has never wavered. To understand Maradona in Naples, you must first understand Diego. He was born into extreme poverty in an overpopulated shantytown on the outskirts of Buenos Aires. It was a place with no clean water, no paved roads, where residents toiled relentlessly just to survive. His father, Don Diego, a bricklayer, left for work at 4 a.m. every day, returning home utterly exhausted. This upbringing forged a man who would forever side with the poor and the oppressed. His beloved club in Argentina, Boca Juniors, was traditionally seen as the team of the working class, in contrast to more upper-class River Plate. His 2 years in fiercely separatist Barcelona had left him feeling like an outcast. But in Naples, Diego found something profound. A team, a city, and a public that mirrored the struggles he knew from his own childhood. Naples was a city of contradictions. Dysfunctional, downtrodden, yet brimming with a fervent passion, especially for football. On his very first day as a Napoli player, he declared his ambition: "I want to become the idol of poor children of Naples, because they are like I was when I lived in Buenos Aires." The man who negotiated his signing, Napoli sporting director Antonio Giuliano, himself hailed from the slums of Naples. A legend of the club from 15 years as a player, Giuliano prophetically told Maradona he would become a living god if he joined Napoli, adding that his people would die for him. This prophecy was tested almost immediately. Despite Giuliano agreeing a world record fee, Barcelona president Josep Núñez, at the last minute, demanded an extra £500,000 for the deal to go through. Eventually, the money was raised, and the deal was done. Maradona was utterly overwhelmed. In his autobiography, Touched by God, Diego revealed, "I felt that they loved me, that they really and truly loved me. Naples was a crazy city. They were as crazy as me. Football was life itself. A lot of things reminded me of my origins. People had chained themselves to the fence at the San Paulo stadium, begging me to come. How could I let them down?" The hysteria surrounding his presentation as a Napoli player on the 5th of July '84 only solidified this feeling. The stadium, overflowing with fanatical fans, chanted in unison, "I saw Maradona. I saw Maradona." Dressed casually in a white t-shirt and blue chinos, he ascended the steps from the San Paulo's interior to return to the centre of the pitch, encircled by hundreds of journalists and cameramen. He waved and blew kisses to the crowd, who unleashed a pyrotechnic display that could rival a volcanic eruption from Mount Vesuvius itself. His very first shot at the San Paulo was a sumptuous curl into the top corner from 35 yards. With a Napoli scarf draped around his neck, he addressed his doting faithful. He then treated everyone to a taster of his legendary keepy-uppy skills, before booting the ball into the enraptured crowd and departing with a resounding Forza Napoli. Already it felt as though Maradona had become a living god, just as Giuliano had predicted. His divine status would be consecrated by his heroics over the next 7 years. What Maradona achieved in Napoli was nothing short of miraculous. Before his arrival, a team from Italy's southern mainland had never won the Italian league title. Napoli themselves had finished in the bottom half of Serie A in both 82-83 and 83-84. Diego himself recalled, "Napoli were, in football terms, closer to the second division than to a championship. I knew I was going to suffer, a lot. But I also knew that the harder something is, the more I like it." Before Maradona's arrival, Napoli represented a footballing Cinderella, forever relegated to the shadows of their more illustrious northern counterparts. Their trophy cabinet remained bare, and facing the likes of Juventus, Milan and Inter often resulted in disappointment. Their best league finish was second place in 1968, which was a distant memory by the time that Maradona arrived in Naples. In the last 5 seasons leading up to the championship, 4th place in 81-82 and 3rd place in 85-86 were their best results. These numbers painted a bleak picture of a club struggling to compete at the highest level, yearning for a change in fortunes. Maradona's arrival was not just a transfer, it was a cultural phenomenon. They called him their golden boy, who promised to deliver them from footballing obscurity. His impact transcended the pitch. He became a symbol of hope and defiance for a city often overlooked, inspiring a fervent belief that anything was possible. The 86-87 season was a rollercoaster ride for Napoli. Coach Ottavio Bianchi recognised the need for a tactical approach that would not only harness Maradona's unique talent, but also ensure collective strength and adaptability. He allowed Maradona to roam freely across the attacking midfield, dropping deep to receive the ball and initiate attacks with his unrivaled vision and passing. By tailoring their approach to capitalise on Maradona's strengths, while maintaining a balanced and adaptable structure, Napoli created a winning formula that propelled them to the historic Scudetto triumph. While some have described Maradona's Napoli as a one-man team, it couldn't be further from the truth. The 87 champions featured Italian internationals like Fernando Di Napoli, Salvatore Bagni, and Ciro Ferreira. Andrea Carnevali and Bruno Giordano also made significant contributions to the team's success. The 1990 winners included Brazilian stars Alemão and Careca, as well as a young Gianfranco Zola. However, it's undeniably clear that without Maradona, Napoli would never have come close to lifting the championship. At the time, Serie A was unequivocally the strongest and richest league in the world. Every single team boasted world-class players. Platini, Boniek and Laudrup at Juventus, Van Basten, Gullit and Rijkaard at AC Milan, Rummenigge, Matthäus, Bremer and Klinsmann at Inter, Falcao and Cerezo at Roma, Socrates and Passarella at Fiorentina, Elchiar and Briegel at Verona, Zico at Udinese. Never before or since has one league monopolised so many of the game's superstars at a single time. In this incredibly competitive landscape, Maradona inspiring a team that had only won 2 Coppa Italias in their 60-year history to 2 league titles and a UEFA Cup and another Italian Cup was truly miraculous. Maradona was the top scorer with 10 goals, and his defensive teammates, Ciro Ferreira and Salvatore Bagni, along with goalkeeper Claudio Garella, were key to the team's success. In doing so, he produced moments of genius that will live on forever. From the sensational 40-yard volleyed lob against Verona to the hat-trick against Lazio, which included an exquisite chip from an acute angle and a goal directly from a corner. Then there was the impudent one-step free kick flick into the top corner to secure first win over Juventus in 12 years, and the effortless dink over AC Milan goalkeeper Giovanni Galli to clinch a dominant 3-0 thumping over the then European champions. Those who play with or against Maradona have no doubt. He's the greatest footballer of all time. Paolo Maldini extolled him as the best opponent I've ever played against. Michel Platini famously hailed, "The things I could do with a football, he could do with an orange." Hector Enrique, his teammate when Maradona almost single-handedly led Argentina to World Cup glory in '86, remarked, "There will never be anyone like Maradona again, not even if Messi wins 3 World Cups or scores a bicycle kick from the halfway line." Watching Maradona live was a mystical experience. His on-field exhibition before the 1989 UEFA Cup semi-final second leg against Bayern Munich remains one of the most enchanting pre-match warm-ups in football history. For 3 mesmerising minutes, he captivated the entire Olympic Stadium, wheeling off an array of ball-juggling tricks, flicks and dance moves. The crowd was worked into a frenzy by the pint-sized phenomenon in untied Puma boots. Diego would lead Napoli to a 2-2 draw on the night and a 4-2 aggregate win, qualifying for the UEFA Cup final, where they would beat Stuttgart for their first and only European honour. But nothing would top the celebrations of Napoli's historic Scudetto in '87. Confirmed on the penultimate match day with a 1-1 draw against Roberto Baggio's Fiorentina, the final whistle unleashed pure bedlam in the San Paulo. 70,000 fans waved their flags through the blue smoke of celebratory flares and fireworks. Maradona did a lap of honour, saluting his people before kicking off wild celebrations inside the Napoli dressing room with his great friend and physio, Salvatore Carmando. Carmando was a man who would ritualistically kiss Diego's head before every match. "For me, this title means a lot more than winning the World Cup," he declared at full time. "I was alone. I had no friends with me. Here, all my family, the city of Naples are with me, because I consider myself a son of Naples." Delirious Neapolitans poured into the streets, bringing the entire city to a standstill as people of all ages revelled in the party of their lives. A celebration that in many places lasted for a month. Cars honked their horns, fans danced on the roofs of stranded buses. Teenagers on Vespers donned Maradona wigs, while the locals held mock funerals, carrying coffins adorned with Juventus markings. Outside the city's largest cemetery, a banner poignantly read, "You don't know what you've missed." After decades of abuse and suffering both on and off the football pitch, the people of Naples could not contain their joy at having finally toppled the established giants of Serie A. This north-south divide is precisely what made Maradona's achievements so profoundly special for the Neapolitans. Italy's north and south have been at odds since the country's unification in 1871. Italy's industrial north, powered by factories like Fiat in Turin, dominates the financial landscape. Meanwhile, the south has historically been overwhelmingly agricultural and has suffered from poverty and unemployment. Southerners have often found themselves looked down upon by the north. Conversely, northerners are seen by southerners as snobby and cold-hearted. When Maradona's team travelled to away matches up north, they were met with abuse. Maradona himself explained this in an autobiography. "Everyone and everything was against us. The worst was the Welcome to Italy banners, but that whole north-south battle made me stronger and gave me a chance to do what I like to do best, fight for a cause, and if it's the cause of the poor, all the better." Juventus, owned by the Agnelli family, who also owned Fiat, represented the pinnacle of northern affluence and power. They were the team of the establishment, the most successful club in Italy with over 20 titles by the time that Maradona arrived. No one hated Juventus more than the Neapolitans, a people predisposed to challenging power and authority. This dates back to the Roman Empire and the legend of San Gennaro, the patron saint of Naples who defied Rome during the great persecution of the Christians. Maradona, a close friend of Fidel Castro, perfectly embraced this anti-establishment vibe. For the powerful north, what we did with Napoli was a real blow. It hurt. No one from the south had ever won the Scudetto before, and they didn't just love me in Naples. All of southern Italy loved me. I was their emblem. The emblem against the powerful north, the one who took from the rich and gave to the poor. More than just a modern-day Robin Hood, Maradona would rival the popularity of San Gennaro. Murals of Diego, some comparing him to the patron saint, popped up all over the city. In the final weeks of the 86-87 Scudetto-winning season, the words of the Lord's Prayer were even changed in Neapolitan households and shop windows. Wherever Maradona set foot, he would be mobbed by fans. Every Neapolitan household contained a photo of Maradona, and countless Neapolitan songs were penned and sang in his honour. Thousands of babies were named after him during his time at the club. Unofficial and unlicensed Maradona merchandise became a highly lucrative trade for small businesses and street vendors. Everything from replica shirts and wigs to posters and figurines. Even now this trade continues to thrive. He and his family are still worshipped today. But behind the divine facade lay a much darker side. Professionalism was a concept Maradona himself never truly followed. His love for parties, nightclubs and women in particular was legendary. In Naples, he led a very colourful and controversial love life, despite living with his long-term girlfriend Claudia Villafane. His former driver Pietro Puglisi claimed that Diego slept with over 8,000 women during his time in Italy. In September '86, a 22-year-old accountant publicly revealed on the day she gave birth to her son that Maradona was the father. A court ruling in '93 eventually confirmed Maradona Sr. as the biological father. The story caused immense stress on his relationship with Claudia. Although they had their breakups, they did eventually marry in '89, after having 2 daughters together, Dalma and Giannina. The marriage itself was a lavish ceremony, costing reportedly over £1 million, with over 1,000 guests attending. In true Maradona fashion, the party lasted until 8 a.m. the following morning. As a direct result of his extracurricular activities, Maradona's attendance record at training was pitiful. He regularly missed or turned up late for sessions and would return from holidays or trips abroad days after schedule, usually in poor physical shape. Sometimes he even missed matches. At the start of the '89 season, he refused to play in the first month of the campaign after a disagreement over a proposed transfer to Marseille, though he eventually returned to lead Napoli to their second Scudetto. It had been an open secret since Maradona arrived 6 years earlier that he had a serious cocaine addiction. He had first started taking the drug while at Barcelona in '82, and this continued prolifically throughout his time in Napoli. He revealed, "One touch and I felt like Superman. In Naples, drugs were everywhere, and I took more and more there. Maradona was caught between a rock and a hard place off the pitch. The boy from the villa of Buenos Aires found himself in Naples at the height of the Camorra power. The Mafia of Naples and Maradona allegedly became involved with each other, and as Diego frequented their establishments, receiving gifts along the way, they profited from his name and image. Most of Maradona's misdemeanors remained relatively hidden until the 1991 season. Everything changed after the World Cup in Italia 90. Italy were infamously eliminated on penalties in the semi-finals of that tournament by Maradona's Argentina, with the iconic number 10 scoring his nation's last spot kick in a game contested in Naples. Maradona became a public hate figure. He was, however, charged with possession of cocaine and handed a suspended sentence and a 5 million lira fine. Many more damaging allegations appeared in the media in the following weeks. Prostitutes came forward with kiss-and-tell stories of cocaine-fueled nights with Maradona. Then, in March, came the final nail in the coffin. Maradona tested positive for cocaine after a Serie A game against Bari. He would be handed an unprecedented 15-month playing ban, only returning to the field in 92-93 with Sevilla. He would never quite be the same player again. Maradona himself described the way his time in Italy ended. When we started beating the northern teams, the establishment wanted to kill me. In 1990 more than ever, and in 91, they made me pay. The whole thing was probably payback for all the lucrative deals they lost because of us in 1990. Even a blind man would be able to see that. Despite his tumultuous exit, Maradona's legend in Naples is not merely a memory. It's a permanent part of the city's identity. He wasn't just a footballer, he was the God of Naples, the man from Buenos Aires who, through a crescendo of footballing grace and a rebellious spirit, became a spokesperson and a saviour for the Neapolitan people. For some, Maradona may have been a flawed idol who didn't always practice what he preached, but for the masses in Argentina and Naples, he was a voice for the voiceless. He spoke out for their struggles and drew the world's attention to the social and political plight of the poor and oppressed. The bond he forged with Naples was unbreakable, a love that transcended even his own downfall. After his departure, the city and its beloved club endured their darkest hour. Napoli, founded in 1926, faced financial turmoil that led to bankruptcy in 2004. The club and the city fell into deep despair, but from those depths a resurgent force emerged. The spirit of defiance that Maradona ignited never faded. Today, Napoli are a global powerhouse, captivating hearts worldwide. In a poignant tribute to the man who gave them everything, the iconic San Paulo stadium was renamed Stadio Diego Armando Maradona in December 2020, just a month after his death. This act cemented his place not just in the club's history, but in the very foundation of the city. 33 years after his last championship, the club secured its third ever league title in 22-23 and its fourth in 24-25. The triumphs that felt both like a new beginning and a continuation of the miraculous story Maradona had started. The people of Naples had suffered and waited, but their faith, kindled by a boy from a shanty town who became their divine champion, was finally rewarded. His legacy is not just in the trophies, but in the unbreakable spirit of a city that believed a miracle was possible because once, Diego had made one happen. If you like underdog stories and football with a soul, hit like and subscribe. What are your memories of this Napoli side and Maradona's time in Naples? Let us know in the comments below. And in the meantime, stay tuned for more football history, one incredible story at a time.